The Scott Ryfun Radio Show.
Well, now, wait a minute. There it is. There it is. Hey, how are you? Sorry about that. I was a couple minutes late there because yesterday when I went to the county, I had every expectation that they were going to supply me with a computer, but I didn't know when that would happen. So I took the computer out of this setup. And then this morning, as I was getting ready to come in here, I went, oh no, I didn't put it back. Like all day I was telling myself, remember to put that back. Remember to put it back. And then this morning, as I was getting ready to run in here, I went, I've got to put it back. And so I had to grab it and hook it back up into the system. So sorry about that. A couple of minutes late getting here. Good to have you here this morning. And already there are lots of people with us and lots of people commenting and lots of hellos there. And I always love some good hellos. Guy Town Nash from He Who Remainless. Oh, that's sad. That's very sad. Good morning. The funny thing is, you doing what I've done for as long as I've done it, what I find is there are certain sectors where everybody knows you and you know some of them. And so people in government, I guess, because we do a lot of commentary, everybody knew who I was. So, and I knew a lot of them. So it was nice because everybody was really good to me. Everybody was really pleasant. But the training, oh my goodness, the training. Oh my goodness, the training. And I'll also say this, it's interesting because government clearly showed me yesterday one of the things I've been suspicious of, which is that government is running itself like a big business these days. And there was a lot of, well, we have to do this. And I would say, yes, we did that with iHeart. They'd say, we have to do this. And I'd say, yes, we did that with iHeart. So it's you can argue the merits of it. I would say ultimately it probably makes it more efficient, but I think it also probably makes it more expensive. It was also interesting because certain things always prick my ears up. And I remember several instances of people saying, we do this because we do not want to waste taxpayer money. And I thought that was interesting. But in the overall, yeah, there was a lot thrown at me yesterday, and was there for a long time. I have two offices. I have two offices, and it's different. That's what I shall say. It's different from what I did before, and there's obviously a learning curve. And the training stuff is just wow. That's all I'm going to say is just wow. That, like, for EMA alone, I've got the preliminary training stuff is 19 and a half hours. And I'm still trying to figure out, like yesterday afternoon, I had a minute and I said, well, I've got maybe an hour I could start on a training here. And then the first training for EAS was 7 hours. And I went, okay, well, I'm not doing that. I don't have 7. I'm not going to be here till 10 o'clock tonight. But the other thing that's funny is that like they have a lot of things for you to do, but your schedule fills up really fast. And so you look at your calendar and you go, holy cow, I've got a 2-hour thing I've got to do, but I don't have any 2-hour gaps in the day because there's so many different things going on the calendar. So again, it's a learning curve. It's a new thing. You have to adjust to it. I do not take my eyes off of this at all because I think both will be able to work well together, and that's a good thing. Dwayne says, good morning. We definitely see a good morning from Charles Blocker in Jessup. Jim says, happy Tuesday. Pace is working both sides of the fence. Hope the first day of school went well. It was okay. It was okay. Morning. Let's see. We got a happy Tuesday there. Got a 183 saying good morning. Business casual Scott this morning. Scott is trying to be as ready for the other gig as he can be by the time we get on the air. And that way, if we wind up running long or whatever, it won't matter. Yesterday, I was not able to do that, and we ran long. And and yes, I forgot about that. Yesterday, I woke up late. Was not able to get as ready as I wanted to be by the end of the program. Then we ran a little bit longer than I thought we would. And then I got ready and I went out to the car and I'm like right where I want to be time wise. And the car wouldn't start. Car Car wouldn't start. So I had to get G-Man up, and we jumped it off. It was good corroded contacts. So we got it jumped off. I got to work, and I got there like right at 9:30, which is when I'm supposed to be there. And but I had built in like a 10-minute buffer, and the 10-minute buffer went away. And of course, yesterday afternoon, because I had not had an opportunity to clean off the contacts, I had to get jump started again yesterday afternoon after work. So, but I did clean the contacts in the meantime and started it after that, and it was fine. So it should be good this morning. Let's hope. But yeah, you're probably going to get a lot of this out of me for the foreseeable future, just because the way things are going, I want to make sure that I'm as ready as I can be for the other gig, so that when we get done here, I can just go. Or if we get done on time, I can do a little more grooming, but either way, I'm okay. Good morning. First day, it was okay. It was, again, everybody was really nice. I got to see both of my offices. I have an office at Pate Building, and I have an office at the Public Safety Complex. And there were a couple little like pens and papers and stuff on the desk at thing. And then when I got to Public Safety Complex, they just showed everybody up, because I had like a welcome bag from the fire department, from Glenn County Fire Rescue, and a welcome bag from the police, and a welcome thing, and a note, and a list of important phone numbers and all of that. It was great. It was absolutely great. So, everybody was really, really nice. But the big thing is just, it's going to be a learning curve. There's a lot of training to do. And I can do that. I'm not an idiot. So we'll get through it. It's just, it is looking at a mountain and going, I got to scale that thing, don't I? All right, I'll scale it. Because I had people sending me like social media posts from the police department. Hey, was this you? And I was like, no, I'm not at that. I'm not at that point where I'm actually doing the job yet. So that's going to take a little time. And it may be a couple of weeks before I'm doing stuff like that. We'll see. All right. Saying good morning. Good. Good morning from the Greens HVAC Dr. Van. Hello. Good morning. Ricky says good morning. Tricia says good morning. Becky throws a little twist to it and says good morning. Finger snappers and toe. There you go. Chris, fish getter, Newbern. Let's see. How's it feel to be on the government teat? Well, I mean, it's I'll say I'm working for it. That's what I'll say. No nosy questions today. All right. Yeah, that's probably for the best. I do FEMA training joint work. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Let's see. Good morning to you. Good morning. Rogue One went rogue. Yes, it did yesterday morning, right about the time. That all well for you as P. Well, I'm gonna. The plan all along has been to continue doing this, and the plan is to continue working towards getting this back on the radio. And I've got a note into the attorney to see where we stand with that at this point. So we shall see. Executive, yeah, right. Good morning. Good morning. Can we see video of you working on the battery problem? Not real. I mean, if you no, because I was not busy taking video of myself cleaning battery contacts. So it's not the sexiest thing in the world, but next time I do it, I'll get you some video. I love the logo. Thank you. Missed the beginning. What is the new job? Oh no, I've been talking about this for a couple of weeks. Come on, stick with us here. I'm a communications specialist with the county, and what I will be doing is public information, mostly for the public safety area of the county, which is Glenn County Fire Rescue, Police Department, Animal Control, and EMA. So, and I had lunch with Andy Lianza yesterday, who's the EMA director, and we are in very good sync. So that was good. Jeremy, are you? Yeah, of course you are. You've been there for us. I mean, you're an OG. Of course. I didn't realize you didn't even have a number yet, to be honest with you. So let's see. Let's see if we can get you a number right now. I'm pulling up the spreadsheet. The next number on here is 191, and that will be yours. Boom. Done. See? Just that simple. Glad you found the YouTube. Good. I'm glad to. Let's see. Creek Crazy would like a number as well. Jeremy has asked 3 times in here if he's worthy of a number. I'm going to say yes. Creek Crazy is going to get a number because we have opportunities for 3 numbers every day. And it's done. There you go. Yeah, that is said, but that's not a, yeah. Need a Rife and reenact. It's me with a little wire brushy tool scrubbing the, what's, I don't know what's a, now, yeah, well, I think if Megan Fox in her heyday had done it, then yeah, it would be sexy, but me doing it's not really a thing. Just so you know, the YMCA is shutting it. Yeah, I do know that because we talked about it yesterday morning, actually. It was a pretty significant discussion yesterday. And again, it comes down to I don't know of anybody who was having problems, like who knew they were having problems. I'm being told that I was being told last night that the YMCA was largely being funded by the Savannah outfit, and it had been going on for a number of years. And that's weird to me because I feel like, knowing the position that place holds, first off, I would think they would be able to recruit members because it's a great facility. And, I don't know that they marketed it, but the other thing is that there are other institutions in this community that certainly would have stepped up, whether it was Georgia Pacific or Sea Island Company or, just any number of organizations in town that I would think would have gone to bat to make sure a facility like that could continue to run. Did you miss anything? I guess not. Probably a lot of hellos, but that's about it. 188 checking in. Good morning, Andy. It was great. Yeah, he is. Watch out for the raccoons and the apocalypse. Of course, we shall do so. Basically, new public relations for public safety. I work under the PIO for the county, so she is the one who does county, but I'll have a little division of it, and that's why I have a second office. I have an office at the public safety complex, where I suspect I'll spend most of my time. Becky says a number for her. Okay, Becky, you got the 3rd number here today. Becky, done. 3 numbers today. You are 193. 193. Oh, Scott, wait. Sorry about that. We'll do it tomorrow. Lisa says good morning. Muriel says, tomorrow, Muriel. Hit me tomorrow. Ellabelle, way up in Ellabelle, Georgia. As a member, I can attest to the fact that we have no manager of marketing local. Everything's done out of Savannah, and we're the redheaded stepchildren. See, and that may be, if you'll allow me to get on my high horse here, we've got a number of organizations that suddenly are being run out of Savannah, and I don't think it helps the Glenn County outfit at all. Because they go, well, we could get by with this, and then all of a sudden, wow, we don't have the revenue we used to have. Oh, we better cut some more. We'll see. We should have clear communication as to where to obtain sandbag. The sad thing is there are a lot of sandbags sitting in the iHeartMedia building, but I don't know who's going to be able to get them out to people. But last time Chad from Mountain to Sea Ministries brought us sandbags. He brought us a ton of sandbags. I asked for a few sandbags. He gave us a ton of sandbags. And they're still sitting there. The ones that didn't get picked up, they're still sitting there. So I don't know what to tell you there. Oh, also an update. One of the things I did do yesterday, I met this guy. Let me tell you about this guy. This is Gaston. And if you can see the look on his face there, he looks a little intimidated, and he was a little intimidated yesterday. I made it. Well, we went out that area, and I wanted to meet everybody that we were working with and everything. And I had to get my pass for the police department and everything. So right here, can we go see Gaston? Now, let's remember, I have offered, if somebody in this audience adopts Gaston, I will pay his adoption fee. On top of that, Robbie Roberts, who's one of our viewers, handed me Friday a $100 gift card or gift certificate to Island Dog. I believe Island Dog have also pledged a $100 gift certificate from themselves if you adopt Gaston. Now, let me tell you about this guy. because I spent decent amount of time with him yesterday. They asked if we want to see him out back or in the adoption room, and I said the adoption room, and the reason I said that was because it was starting to rain a little bit outside. So they brought him in, and the handler, and I don't remember her name, I'm sorry, brought him in, and he likes her a lot apparently, and she left him there, handed Brittany with the county, handed Brittany the leash, and she left, and he just sat and looked longingly after her, and then just started shaking. Because this dog's been in the kennel, at the animal services for over 630 days. And he didn't really want anything to do with us. So I got a bag of treats out, and I broke one in half, and I held it out to him. He wouldn't come to me. So tossed it over to where he was, and he ate it. Turns out Gaston's very food motivated. So I took another little half of a treat, and I tossed it to him, but not quite as far. So he had to move a little to get it, and he did. And then I tossed the next one, a little shorter, till pretty much he was climbing on my leg to get the next treat. And at that point, we had some good moments. We scratched and, scratched his neck and gave him some head scratches and all that good stuff. And he stopped shaking, but he still was not at ease. And so we sat with him for a little bit, and we had some good times. And he kind of stared me in the eyes like, what are you doing? And again, didn't give the opportunity for belly rubs or anything like that. Just he did let me scratch him though, and he's all right. And so we got up to take him. I said, okay, well, I think we've done all we can do with him today with everything else we've got going on today. So I get up and I get him with the leash. I start to go to the door, and he runs to the door all of a sudden. Now he's got energy. And I open up the door, and he just wants to start running out into the facility. And I've got him, I'm holding him tight. And he starts running towards the front door. And I said, so he goes, and he runs to the front door, and he sits at the front door while I've got him on the leash. And I said to the volunteer, can I take him out? And she said, yeah. We go outside. This is a different dog. We get outside there, and he's got to mark everything. He's got to sniff everything. He's excited to be around. He lets you just pet him all over the place and scratch him. And he's just a ball of energy and fun. You don't get that when you sit in the adoption room with him. So, I would say if you're going to adopt an animal, make sure that you try them in different contexts, because he was not the little scaredy cat that he was in the room. And I don't know if it's because the room is too cold, the floor is too hard. I don't know what it is, but once I got outside with him, he was just a ball of fun. And we had a great time. And then eventually, and this is the good thing again, he's smart, obedient. Eventually I said, all right, we got to go in. So he turned around and ran right back to the front door of the place, knew it was time to go back in. And he's a sweet dog. And he'd make a great companion for somebody. And just know that if you sit with him in the adoption room, you may not get the same dog. Try him out in different areas, different venues, and watch him just, I think this is a dog who's been sitting in that kennel for 630 something days. And I think he needs an opportunity to get out of it and kind of spread his wings a little, because that's what he was doing yesterday when I took him outside. And I didn't take him out into their play areas. I took him outside the front door, and he just started exploring like crazy. He was a runner. I mean, just wanted to run everywhere. So he's a great dog, great little guy, and fun. And again, I'll cover his adoption fee. And I'm sitting in my possession, I have $100 gift card gift certificate to Island Dog that Robbie Roberts contributed. And I believe the Klimps at Island Dog have also pledged a $100 gift certificate. So you can certainly get a great dog very, very easily and very cheaply. That's what I'm saying. Let's see. What do we have? This day, 1892. Lizzie Borden took an axe, gave her mother 40 whacks. Poetically speaking, yeah, I think she's found guilty, if I'm not mistaken. She was found not guilty. She was found innocent of that. So I don't know that we can say she did give them 40 whacks. 181 here. Yep, Gaston was here. Let's see. Was this Gaston's first time meeting such a big, powerful? And that may be why he was so intimidated. But when he got in there, he's shaking. Because they left us alone with him, and so the people that he's like comfortable with, they weren't there, and so we sat and we got to know him, and again he calmed down from the shaking, but he wasn't himself. And when we got him outside, he was himself, and himself is big, goofy, playful, fun dog. Ran all over the place. I mean, that's the reason I finally was just like, I got to go in, was because I had to do with the rest of my day, and I was starting to really sweat from everything. But great little dog. Yeah, it's Gaston should know you're trying to get him a pardon to save him. Yeah, I probably should have let him know that, but I did not. If you didn't have 3, you'd take it. Well, I think 3 is pretty good. There you go. Lynn says Island Dog has another $100 gift card. So there you go. Anybody who wants Gaston, we will do that. We will take care of it. You need to. Here's the thing: Miss Lady will not let that happen. She is not a fan of other dogs coming into her domain, and for some reason, she and Sweetie, I guess because Sweetie was here first, she and Sweetie do okay. Oh, she's in here now. Come here, ladies. She and Sweetie do okay, but even they sometimes have their issues. But yeah, she doesn't. Other dogs don't get to come in. That's just kind of her way. And if they do come in, she lets them know immediately she's in charge and nobody else is in charge. And I think that turns a lot of other dogs off. So she was a difficult case. Lady was. She's sweet as she can be to people. She just will curl up in your lap. She'll put her head on you. She'll stare at you longingly. She will give you her belly to rub all day, every day. But she's not great with other dogs, sadly. Because believe me, Gaston would be a good addition to the family. He would be great, but I can't. Miss Lady says no. I have not yet watched that. I've been told about it, but I do not know yet. Let's see. Perhaps the Y would have been better off appointing an advisory chairman with experience on operating a viable business. I don't know what all that means, but maybe. Jean Stevens, very aggressive with other dogs that she doesn't know. Yeah, I mean, the funny thing is, like, she will get to know them and she'll be okay. And then sometimes she's not aggressive. We were, and I don't take them to the dog park anymore because, mostly because of the people that show up that are kind of jerks. And you have to deal with that. So I don't take them to the dog parks anymore. But there was one time we went to the dog park and lady who, you always go, okay, there's a new dog. Let's see what happens. And this dog, she just like followed him around. Like she just had the biggest crush on this dog and we'd never seen her behave like that before. But usually what you'll do, you put her, the thing we do with her to introduce her to the other dogs best is put her on the other side of the fence and she will bark at the other dog and the other dog will bark at her. And then they will run down the fence and then they will turn around. They will run back and they will run down the fence again. And they will turn around and run. And they do that 6 or 7 or 8 times. And all of a sudden she's good with it. But that's kind of the way you have to do that. If we were to go back to the dog park again, but I'm not going to. Again, the people are the problem at the dog park. Absolutely, Bo. Absolutely. JD. Yeah, he's a sweet dog, but yeah. Lady is a one dog household, and we got 2 dogs. So figure that one out. Yes, Gaston got a number. Sadly, Gaston's got a number on death row, and that's the thing we're trying to help out here. When you choose leadership based on skills obtained from Brunswick Housing Authority. Okay, so you know a lot more of this than I know. We have one that's been in the shelter for over a year. Yes, it takes a few days once away from the kennel to find their personality. Yeah, or but the thing is also when you're checking the dogs out, get them away from the kennel because you're not gonna know. I would have thought he was just meek and timid, and that he was just kind of a scaredy cat, until I got him outside, and all of a sudden he was a totally different dog. Totally different dog. And I liked both dogs, but you get to know him and you go, oh, this guy does more than just that, which is good. So we haven't really broken into any stories yet. We've just in here chatting about the new gig and chatting about, I guess Gaston's part of that. Let's see, where's the dog park? There are a couple of dog parks. There's one at North Glen, which we actually liked a lot of the people that were there when we were taking them there regularly. But it just was really far away for us. We started taking them to the one at the city once they really upgraded the one at the city. The one at the city is really, really nice. But the good news is most of the time when you go there, there's not anybody there. The other good news is that about half the time, the people that are there are decent people. Then there's the other half. I had a guy threaten to beat me up last time I was there. I was like, I'm not going to deal with this. Let's see. Lady's just protecting what's hers. I guess so. She's definitely, lady wants to be in charge. Well, there you go. Jeremy, you don't have to do that. That's very sweet of you. But if somebody calls you on it though, just know it's there. But yeah, he's a good kid, good dog. And if somebody's looking, and that, that's one of the things we have to do. If I'm going to be involved in message crafting with these guys is, there's a lot of, oh my goodness, they're all going to die. And, oh no, this one, we're going to have to kill today. And after a while, I think that message I understand the message because it's real. And I think the people behind it care very much, or they wouldn't have put that kind of message out there. But at the same time, I think it starts to bounce off the general public. I think we have to do something else. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. This article's in the paper. This family has really been through it. Michael Hall does this one. Family hopeful for justice for local privateer after hit and run death. And I have the police report. I was sent the police report because, there are people who really want to get action on this. And, this is tough. This is a tough one. Troy Ingram told his brother Jake the last time he saw him, he felt like he belonged on board the tall ship on which he worked in the Golden Isles, talking about the Lynx, of course. That discussion was in early March. Jake Ingram would never see his brother again. Troy Ingram was killed in the early morning hours of April 26th while walking along Frederica Road near its intersection with Kingsway on St. Simons when a car hit him and fled the scene. He was 27. And, and not to get too graphic about this, but apparently he was hit and killed, and then somebody else hit him because he was lying in the street and they didn't see him in the middle of the night. So, it makes it that much more difficult because the crime scene was inadvertently tampered with. But, what kills me is, we've been having the flock camera discussion and that kind of thing lately, but there are cameras of all sorts, shapes, stripes, and varieties out there. And it amazes me that we don't actually have any of this captured anywhere on a camera. Troy Ingram was well known on St. Simons, the deckhand who worked on the tall ship Lynx, an educational recreation of an actual 1812 privateer schooner, was well known for his bushy beard, tri-corner hat, and historically accurate sailor's clothing. He could be seen often getting from Morningstar Marina to his destination on St. Simons via his preferred mode of transportation, walking. Again, no deaths, no arrests in this death is a hit and run case. State Patrol believes he was hit once by a driver who fled the scene and then hit a second time when another car came upon him in the roadway. And the second hitter, I think, is the one who called 911, if I remember the police report correctly. But they have, they have nothing at this point. And but it also leads to this, which is, last week we had a very similar situation where there was a hit and run with a guy who hit somebody's vehicle and fled. And I don't know, and that was another St. Simons thing. And so I don't know what's going on in St. Simons. People just think they're not beholden to the law. It's not the first time we've had people get hit and people leave the scene either. On St. Simons. So I don't know if people just don't think they're beholden to the law. I don't know, if there's just too much booze. I don't know what's going on. But this is not the first time somebody's been hit in a hit and run in the recent years. And certainly, it's not the first time we've had a hit and run in recent weeks. That just wasn't a person in the other one. But I don't know. Is it an epidemic at this point? I don't know. It's a fair question to ask, I think. Um, Housing rehab proposal on city commission agenda. And this is again one of those things. They'll consider a proposal to rehabilitate a house on Wolf Street and 2 new alcohol licenses when they meet Thursday. In my world, in my perfect world, none of those things are on a city commission agenda. None of them. I don't think. No, I don't. I don't think. I don't think the city should be in the business of rehabilitating people's houses. And I don't think the city commission should have to approve a liquor license if there are legal specifications and requirements set forth for a liquor license and you meet those requirements, then that should be it. You shouldn't have to then have it approved because that's when it goes into the realm of politics. So none of that would be there. Some residents qualify for renovations to their primary residence through the Community Home Investment Program, or CHIP. That's right. That's right. Government funded home renovations. And you're saying to yourself, why did I put a new roof on my house last year when I could have just asked the government to do it for me? Look, I'm a big proponent of home ownership. I'm a big fan of home ownership. But at the same time, I'm a big proponent of people actually then taking the responsibility for the homes. That's part of home ownership. It's part of the beauty of home ownership. One is the equity, and you get the equity. Government shouldn't get the equity out of it, right? You get the equity. Then you have a, certain responsibility to do things to maintain the home. All there is to it. What is the length of stay the animals given before being put on the list typically? It really has to do with their adoptability. If they're just aggressive, and there's just nothing you can do, and you just know they're not going to be adopted, they're going to make the list before a dog that they deem adoptable. But, Gaston is kind of working in one of those gray areas where he's been there. He's clearly adoptable. He's a good kid. But at the same time, he's been there a long time. And so, when you go, is he adoptable? Well, we think he's adoptable, but nobody's adopted him, which means to a certain extent, maybe he's not so adoptable. And so they have to kind of keep those things in mind. So there's no one set standard. You just kind of base it on whether you think he's adoptable and what the needs are. And I'll tell you something interesting about all of this. I was looking at a dashboard, and this dashboard is not some secret squirrel Glenn County Commission thing. This is on the Glenn County website for animal services. And that is last month, June, not really last month, but June was the number they had, the month they had the numbers for. They had 80 dogs brought into animal services. They adopted 18. Now they find other things to do with these dogs. The Humane Society will take some, and they'll send them off to other places. Sweetie was a couple of days away from being sent off to New York before we claimed her. But that's not a sustainable thing. When you bring in 80 dogs in a month and you adopt out 18, that's just it's not sustainable. And again, they're finding other places to send these dogs. But, we've got to be more responsible. And it's got to be a couple of different things. It's not just we've got to adopt all of these dogs out. But it's also just we've got to be more responsible as owners and as a community with these dogs. Let's see. Good morning, Mr. Ivan, fellow members of number one. It's hot, humid, and foggy in Effingham County. Please use your headlights in fog, but remember not to use your brights. That's right, because your brights, first off, they harm oncoming motorists, and secondly, they actually don't help you see any better in the fog. You just see more fog, basically. Oh, look at there. Look at Jadine Rifen. I don't even know when she has the time to type all this stuff because she's going like crazy. Okay. What happened with the Jacob Butts hit and run from about 8 years ago? There's another. Now, is that the one that was off of 82? Like near your neighborhood? I'm pretty sure they arrested her and charged her. I think she was convicted, if I'm not mistaken. Or pled guilty. I don't remember. But that's the one he was like on the skateboard or whatever. Is that the one? from it was off of 82, like the lakes or somewhere. If that's the one, yeah, I think they got her and arrested her, and I may be wrong on that though. I'll have to look. So YMCA in the city limits? No, not at all. Monroe, Georgia, a few years ago, in a foggy morning, a teen got hit running after his skateboard by 3 or 4 cars. Some, I think, assumed they hit a deer, never found out the first that hit him. Yeah, that's awful. Absolutely awful. 149 is here. Good to see there. I have not shown you the Secret Society ring yet. Well, here, I haven't gotten my ring yet because it's being sized. But what I will say is that I was part of a ceremony. There was a goat involved, and I will never be the same again. That's all I can tell you, though, without having to kill you. What breed of dog is Gaston? I have no idea. I am very bad on breeds. There he is, though. And he's a sweet kid, and he's got a good personality. I don't know the breed. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, I'll have to look that up, but I feel like I know they made an arrest. I feel like there was a conviction in the arrest, but I could be wrong on that. I'll have to look further, but yeah, again, we just we have a bit too much of that going on, and a lot of it, unfortunately, seems to be very a lot of the time these things seem to be very alcohol driven. So again, just as a community, we probably should think about these things. I didn't know this. Did you see this? 2 people in Michigan have died amid the cyclosporiasis outbreak. Now, down here it says that death resulting from cyclosporiasis is uncommon in the United States. But boy, I got to tell you, of all the things you die from, explosive diarrhea, because that's, and by the way, they finally have shifted, the news media have shifted to cyclosporiasis. And I don't know who decided that they were going to finally do that, because remember, before that, everybody was explosive diarrhea. And for some reason they got over that, which is good for everybody. And now they just say cyclosporiasis. And yeah, but again, it's lettuce. And I warned you a long time ago that lettuce will kill you. And now it's killed 2 people. That darn lettuce. Garden City Police discontinue school speed zone cameras. I think that's a good thing. I think the fewer speed zone cameras we have, the better, as far as, because people, again, get tickets based on a camera. And I'm not a fan of a ticket being based on a camera. This is an interesting story as well. Savannah alcohol overlay ban faces scrutiny over equity. And this is one of those things where, there are, and we see it in Brunswick, where they'll just start turning down liquor licenses because they go, well, this neighborhood has too many liquor licenses to start with. And that's not for you to determine. That's not the marketplace. The marketplace is where that stuff gets determined, not by people sitting behind a plaque. But that's the thing they're doing. And in Savannah, they actually did an overlay where they were just banning alcohol in certain areas or limiting the number of alcohol licenses. But now what happened is, one of the things that and it's all racial. That's the weird thing about all of this. It's all racial stuff. But what has happened now is there's a black owned event center there that wants to have a liquor license because, it's an event center. Now, what happened with the overlay zone, there it is. The overlay says, they did that because we've got too many people loitering and too many people publicly drunk and blah, blah, blah. And we blame the package stores. Okay, so we won't give any more liquor licenses to this area because we blame the package stores. Now, again, it's like blaming the spoon for obesity. I mean, you have to use the spoon to get obese. The spoon's existence doesn't cause the obesity. But and they claim, oh, we've had an improvement in that area, and I'm sure it's all due to that. Again, one of the things that I will tell you just over the years is so much of this stuff. When people say we see this statistical change in so and so, and it's because of this, there are a gajillion other factors that usually go into play, and it's usually almost never one thing. But in this particular instance, they did it because they said people were loitering and publicly drunk. Well, okay, fine. People are loitering and publicly drunk. What does that have to do with an events venue? If they want to have a wedding or something like that, people aren't going to be loitering at the events venue. You might have some people publicly drunk at the events venue if you got a wedding or something like that, or, but people can have conventions, people can have concerts, people have all kinds of things at an event center, but it's generally not a place where people are going to be loitering. So, and the other part of it is, again, a lot of the stuff is racially driven, and yet this is a black-owned business that's going to be suffering because of it. So suddenly they're being bitten by their own rules there. Let's see. They said the people had other serious conditions. Cyclosporiasis mean? Yeah. Common apparently does not mean zero. Correct. Went to Gwinnett Pound to look for a new cat. 95% of the dogs there were pit bull mixes. And a lot of the dogs in a lot of these pounds are, pit bull mixes. Doesn't make them bad dogs. It makes them, they have some genetic material that people find displeasing. I understand why people find it displeasing because, it's like 60+% of the dog attacks on people are by pit bulls. And it's just, that's not a, or the fatalities on people is pit bulls. So I understand why people are upset about it. But it's not the same thing, I think, as a mix. And, that is a lot of what you're going to wind up with at a pound. But it doesn't mean they're not good dogs. And again, a lot of a dog's behavior. I mean, there's certain things they're programmed to do mentally. I mean, genetically, but a lot of a dog's behavior is, also how you raise them and treat them. And so you can make a difference there. Rocky says, recently retired and can listen to you more. When I was working, I only listened to part of the show. What's up with the number? Oh, what's up with the numbers? All right. Do we explain this today or do we explain it on another day? The numbers that years ago, it's now years ago, a regular liberal caller called, and usually he would just call and voice his little distaste, and I'd push back a little and we'd do our thing and that'd be it. For some reason, this one day he called, and I don't know who peed in his Cheerios. I don't know what was going on, but he just called slamming everybody. I think that may have been the same day he was slagging Reagan and said Nancy made all his decisions for him, which again, if you've actually seen the Reagan in his own handbook, this guy was a thinker and a writer. But one of the things he did was he slagged the show, and he said it was the same 40 people who called all the time anyway. And it was just the same 40 people calling over and over again. And which, again, I get 40 wouldn't have been that terrible, but I didn't believe it was just 40. I knew it wasn't just 40. And people started calling and saying, I call, and we started counting. Okay, you're 1, you're 2, you're 3. Okay, so that's 4. To see if we actually have 40 callers here or if we have more than 40 callers. And so it got into the 30s, 40s, 50s, and we got into the 80s, 90s, and hundreds. And we just call the group the South Georgia 40, even though it is far larger than 40, clearly. Show me a stupid dog, I'll show you a stupid owner. Quite often. Had a pit bull mix for almost 10 years. I can tell you it's the owner and not the dog, because the dog itself was aggressive. We were able to fix the aggression with love. Did he first he said 30 and then adjusted up to 40? Oh, gee whiz. That's even worse. So yeah, we counted the 40, and we just call we just say it's only 40 anyway. But obviously, we're almost at 200 at this point. So, it's a thing. Comment was directed at pit bull, not at pit bulls, but the type of owners who abandoned them. Yeah, I understand. And that's why, I get that. And that's why, again, it is often the pound where they wind up. sadly. And again, a lot of people flinch at that. And I would say get to know the dog, spend time with the individual dog, and don't worry about the rest of it. In fact, one of the things that we don't, we didn't go up there looking for breeds at all. We just went looking for a dog that we thought we'd enjoy, and we wound up with one. And then she was the reason we have two. And I've told this story before, I know, but we got married, and I said, okay, we're married now. All we need is a dog, because that was going to be my thing. Despite people, that was the other weird things. Like, we had people in the listenership who would get cross with me because I don't equate dogs with people, and I still don't, and I won't, because I think people are just on a higher plane than everything else on this planet. And I think that's deliberate. I think we're created that way. And people get really mad that I wouldn't put dogs on a plane with people. And so then it became like just standard. Everybody knew that I hate dogs, which was not true at all. In fact, I tried to sneak one into our dorm and keep one in our dorm. It lasted about a day and a half when I was in college. I was very, 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 very big fan of dogs. Always was. But if I still remember getting that letter when I was on 1490. You obviously never had the love of a dog. And it's like, yeah, I love a dog. What are you talking about? Yeah, I had a dog named Lady. She was great. We had a lot of fun. But anyway, despite all of that, I wanted a dog. And Mrs. Reifman was like, no, we've got too much going on in our lives. We're too busy at work. We're too, and I said, okay. So then as we got a little older, the kids got bigger. I noticed that she would sit and on her Instagram, she was like, her whole feed was nothing but dogs. And I went, okay, there's a thing. There's a thing going on here. And so I finally was like, okay, I'm noticing all the dogs on your Instagram feed. Does this mean we can actually get a dog now? And she went, yeah, let's get a dog. And we went to the pound. I've told that story before. Recently, we got Sweetie. And Sweetie was just like because she was 1 and she still had a lot of puppy in her. She still has a lot of puppy in her when she's 9 now. She still has a little puppy in her when she gets going. But she was just killing us because we didn't realize she was always wanting to play, always wanting to, mess with her toys, always just constant. And she could occupy herself some. I've got a video where she spent 45 minutes. We bought her the first time we ever bought her a stuffed squirrel. She spent 45 minutes throwing that thing around the living room. She had a blast, but she did want to play with us. They're social. And she was killing us. She was wearing us out because it was just go, 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 go with her. And so I'd mentioned to Sandra was the veterinarian at the time. And we'd mentioned to her, we might be interested in a second dog because we thought a second dog might take a little, then they can play and we don't have to do all the playing and we'll be okay. And 2 weeks later, she called us and said, I've got your dog. And I said, no, we were talking about maybe getting another dog. She said, no, I've got the dog. I have your dog. And we said, okay. So we went down there and took Sweetie, put them in a room together, and they got along great. They wrestled and, fought and played as they do. And immediately after they broke up from the wrestling match, which was Sweetie's favorite thing. Sweetie loved wrestle and chase. The second they broke up from that, Lady ran over and just curled up in my lap. And I went, oh, okay, I guess this is our dog. I mean, I was sitting on the floor and she just literally ran over and just got in my lap and just curled up. And I went, okay, I guess this is our dog after all. And we picked her up the next day and the rest is history. But that's how we wound up with 2. So let's see. Let's see. Humans and dogs not being the same thing used to be something called common sense. Yeah, I thought so, but boy, I used to get a lot of grief over that. Irresponsible dog owners let them overbreed for so long, decades. There's just a lot more bulldog mixed dogs that need homes. A lot of the numbers where they're concerned are due to that. And again, there are good dogs out there. Just go out there and check them out. No comment. And I did hit and run the raccoon during the hurricane. So just so you know, dog's name is Shots, which means sweetie in German. There you go. There you go. But yeah, it's you can get a good dog, have a great dog out there, and yes, it can have a little pit bull in it and still be a good dog. Just putting that out there. Let's see. What else do we have on the thing? Oh, Statesboro officials considered zoning amendment for a nearly 27-acre data center. A zoning request that would pave the way for a data center in Statesboro is on the Planning Commission's Tuesday agenda, which means it will be overrun with people screaming. I did find this part interesting, and I don't know if I have it in here. Yeah, there it is. Almost 27-acre parcel on Burkhalter Road to be rezoned from its current zoning as a high-density residential district to an office and business district. And, you know, that's the stuff that I would be worried about with the data center stuff. Not that they're going to drain all your water and suck up all your air and, you know, be so deafening that you can't hear yourself think for the rest of your life and all of that nonsense. I would be well, this is supposed to be high density residential. Now you're telling me it's going to be office and business with a 27-acre, you know, data center. And honestly, that could work in your favor because you will not have, I mean, how many 27 acres these days? These days, you're talking what? 125 houses. Because they'll do quarter-acre lots at the blink of an eye. And, you know, we'll leave a couple acres for common areas and that kind of thing. But, yeah, you could have 125 houses in that same space. And the question is, would you rather have a data center, which does not produce a lot of traffic in that same area? Or are you concerned about the zoning, which now makes that, you know, office and business, and data center goes away? What can you put in there next? So, you know, those are the questions I think that are interesting that come up with data centers, not that they're going to dry all your water, or, you know, dry your water up and all that other nonsense. Let's see. All my dogs have been pits or pit mixes. They're naturally sweet dogs. Last one was the best mama for dog for my kids and protect them fiercely, would never hurt them. It is the owner. Very often. 760K for newborn. Yeah, there's a lot of that. Be done. What is a data center? A data center is just a building that is full of computers. And data centers do a lot of different things. They will help remotely process things. Like when you're doing AI, the AI that you're generating, whatever you're generating, whether it's a script or whether it's a podcast, whether it's a graphic, a flyer for, you know, a ride or something like that, that is done somewhere else. And it is done usually in a data center, which is, again, another bank of, sometimes it can be used for data storage, you know, like the cloud. When you save things to the cloud is not actually in the sky. The cloud is a bunch of computers somewhere else. And so data centers could be data storage. They could be processing. They could be both. But it's just a big building full of computers. That's what a data center is. With that having been said, computers tend to generate heat, and that heat has to be dealt with. And so, you know, that's, you know, when you hear about all the water they use, and they really, modern data centers don't really use that much water. They use about 1/10 of the water that the pulp mill would use. That's the water is generally used in the cooling efforts, but it also is usually in a closed system. So it, some of it evaporates and has to be replaced, but by and large, it recycles. I prefer the old school term server farm, which sounds unoffensive and agricultural. Switch to data centers is intentional. Yeah, I would believe that. I would believe that the switch to data center, because, you know, when I talk to people who are just really up in arms about it, they're not up in arms necessarily about the AI. Some of them are. But the thing most people are upset about is they're storing my data. They're tracking me and they're storing the data. My data is being stored in there as they track me. And yeah, server farm would not have done the same. But yeah, it is in essence the same thing. But yeah, that you may be right on that, the data center thing. Because words mean things and words trigger people in different ways. I understand the need for data centers, not against them. Why all of a sudden do we need so many? Can't be just. Well, I mean, a lot of it is. There was a. Let me get this story out. I hope I saved it. If I didn't, curse me for that. I may not have saved this thing, but this was amazing. Where let me see if I can find this, because this, yeah, they've changed all the buttons. So let me see if I can remember this. But basically, AI was used to solve 10 complex math problems, and I forget which AI. It was one I hadn't heard of before, but it was used. Basically, it was applied to 10 complex math problems, each of which are things that have been vexing people for a long time. Each of which they basically said would have been award-winning. Yeah, here it is right here. Okay, so it's Astra, an internal version of Astra, which is OpenAI's next major model family. OpenAI are the guys who do ChatGPT. Solved 10 major open problems in mathematics, quantum complexity, and theoretical computer science. And each of these 10 problems, if you as a person had solved one of these problems, you would have won awards. And supposedly Astra solved 10 of these. And when I describe these to you, you're going to go, why? But I'm just telling you. High dimensional sphere packing, binary and spherical codes, non-Sophic groups, Kahn's rigidity conjecture, arithmetic circuit complexity, quantum parallel repetition, closest vector problem, Earhart's volume conjecture, multicolor Ramsey numbers, and compactness and degeneracy, all solved by AI. That takes tremendous amounts of computing power. Also, not just AI, but Bitcoin. If you know anything about cryptocurrency, the way in which they mine crypto, because you can't just dump. Most of us, when we think about it simply, we think there is there's electronic currency, and people just go, well, there's going to be this much currency, and that's it. But that's not how they do it. They give the computer a complex problem, and when it works its way through the problem and solves the problem, that becomes the currency. So that way, that's how you control the monetary supply. Is you don't have the Fed going, there's going to be money out there. Now there's not going to be. We're going to withdraw some money, and that kind of thing. So mining cryptocurrency takes a tremendous amount of, again, computing power. And literally what you're doing is you're giving a very complex equation. When it solves that equation, you've achieved more cryptocurrency. So you have these things running all the time, working on these formulas. And so again, another example of why there's just much more need for processing power than there used to be. A lot of it is AI, because AI is being used ridiculously heavily, and it's doing some ridiculous things. But also, again, cryptocurrency, and just there's just a bunch of stuff like that. Let's see. I've seen online people complaining about the noise from data centers, and AI indicates they can be loud and bothersome to those living near them. People live near them stated it's atrocious. I've seen one or two of those, but I've also known some people who live near them who say they're not there. I think what you have is early ones probably have loud because they have loud cooling systems, but I don't think it's the case for newer ones. Data centers like your house, a server farm would be your room. Okay. So you're saying the data center is bigger? Let's see. I feel like you're quoting Sheldon Cooper. And you're telling me you can't find a cure for HIV. Got it. Well, I mean, the problem is viruses. And rapidly, well, you know this. I don't have to tell you this. You've been studying this your life. Viruses are tough. I mean, we really haven't cured any viruses. We've found some vaccines that mimic the effects of a virus, or just use a virus to give the body some defense against a virus. But those viruses are all still out there, and they mutate. HIV mutates quickly. But you know what? As far as I'm concerned, day ain't over yet. If it solved those 10 problems, there may be a real good chance it could cure HIV. There's a real good chance it could. Crypto is a really long string of prime. Yeah, it's large, complex problems. And again, that's the issue with crypto. So, but yeah, there is more and more need for processing, more and more need for data storage, for more off-site data processing, and data centers are more and more a thing because of that. Black faith leaders call on Mike. This is, by the way, I saw this morning, one of the worst pieces of journalism I have ever seen in my life. Now, SAV carried this story, but they grabbed it from an Atlanta station, WJBF. And this is what you would call a political hit piece of the highest order. A coalition of prominent black faith leaders gathered Monday in downtown Atlanta to call on Republican U.S. Senate nominee Mike Collins to publicly apologize over what they describe as his ties to white nationalism, escalating one of the sharpest lines of attack in Georgia's closely watched Senate race. Now, here we go. Again, most people read the headlines. Oh, black faith leaders call on Mike Collins to apologize over alleged ties to white nationalism. He's tied to white nationalism. Then a few, smaller number of people actually read the first paragraph. And the first paragraph is, he's got to publicly apologize for what they describe as his ties to white nationalism, escalating one of the sharpest lines of attack in Georgia's closely watched Senate race. So now you've got, again, a reinforcement of, he's a white nationalist. That white Mike Collins guy. Oh, what a white nationalist he is. Then the rally, held in Atlanta's historic Sweet Auburn district, comes with fewer than 100 days remaining until Election Day and follows renewed criticism from Democratic Senator John Ossoff, who has questioned Collins over reports involving a former aide, a neo-Nazi propagandist, and alleged connections to a white nationalist figures. By the way, the closest to any substantive allegation is what I just read you. In this entire article, John Ossoff has questioned Collins over reports involving a former aide who did what? Don't know. It's not in the article. A neo-Nazi propagandist. Who is this person? Are they really neo-Nazi, or is this just a thing that, an internet thing? Because like everybody gets accused of being a Nazi. We don't know. And alleged connections to white nationalist figures. Again, what does that mean? It's incredibly vague. Faith leaders said they want Collins to clearly explain his views before voters cast their ballots. And again, if you were actually a news reporter who was actually interested in reporting news and facts, you would explain to us what those views appear to be. Not what a bunch of partisan hacks tell you they think the views are. We want to know what your position is. On what? Said Reverend Timothy McDonald, former pastor of Ebenezer Baptist Church in Atlanta. Stop dodging, stop hiding, stop refusing. Just answer the question. What is the question? The question isn't in here. The ministers accused Collins of amplifying white nationalist rhetoric through his social media activity. For example is not written here. It just says it, and argued that Georgia voters deserve leaders who reject hate and extremism. I agree with that. Reverend Dr. Gerald Durley said the allegations are troubling because of the work many communities have done to overcome racial and religious divisions. Then why make vague, generic accusations against Mike Collins? The event came just days after Ossoff held a separate news conference renewing his criticism of Collins. This is interesting because I felt like Ossoff had the upper hand in this race, but if he's resorting to race baiting already, maybe he doesn't. Maybe his internals are telling him he's not, the black vote is not there for him. That's the only thing I can figure. Saying Georgians deserve answers from someone seeking a 6-year term in the Senate. See, here's what I like. There's an article that spends the entire time saying that they need answers, but they never really say what the question is. The Collins campaign has rejected the accusations. Now, how far into this? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wait, hang on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 paragraphs in. The Collins campaign has rejected the accusations, calling them politically motivated attacks by Ossoff. Collins has previously denied supporting white nationalism and has said his social media posts reflect his political views. Again, you have all these allegations and all these, he's not answering. He's not saying anything. We want to know, stop dodging, stop hiding, stop refusing. Just answer the question. Well, first off, there is no question. Secondly, it appears they have answered the question, but you don't know that until you've read towards the end of the article. This is trash journalism. This is partisan hackery at its finest, is what this is. 100%. Let's see. Is there a plan to increase power available to prevent limitation in power to the masses in increasing? There has been everywhere that they've done it. And again, they talk about all the households worth of energy that it takes. Remember that there's 100 and something households that would be in that spot anyway that are now not going to need energy, that are now not going to need water, not going to need sewage. So again, there are trade-offs, but again, most of the places around, and I don't know if they'll come up with a plan for them to generate their own power, which certainly has been a thing that's been going around with a lot of these data centers or what, but yeah, there will be a plan in place. The places where there are more data centers are the places where the power rates are rising the slowest. And that's a thing that I think people should ask, frankly. The Republicans called out for ties, but the Democrats can be caught funding the KKK and not be called out once by the media. Literally SPLC funding the KKK. That's great. Well, it was part of a sting operation, you see. It was just okay. Let's see. People secure your loads was almost in a wreck on 95 last night when a road call due to a ladder in the road and raining. Yeah. And I've seen a few ladders. And here's the thing about the ladders, if I may. You will drive down the road and you will see a van with 8 ladders mounted on top of it. And you look at that and you say to yourself, there is no way that works. And they probably do get where they're going most of the time, but one little thing doesn't get latched in the right place. I've seen a number of ladders on the interstate lately. And I know it's these guys that drive with a dozen ladders on the top of their vans. I know it's got to be. One of our biggest problems is introducing bills or laws that are based on opinionated statements. An example would be if you face legal ramifications because you offended someone with words. Other countries have done this. Let's hope we don't become that way. Yeah, well, that's a big London thing. That's a big UK thing. And yeah, I would, that's not the First Amendment. And I'm a big fan of the First Amendment. Big fan. Savannah mayor and police chief feel betrayed after 6 employees placed on leave for flock camera misuse. I have a real problem, not with the flock camera misuse per se. I mean, I have a problem with that. But the big problem that I have with this whole thing is the mayor and the police chief publicly speaking on an issue that seems to still be under investigation. Does that bother anybody else, or is it just me? WTOC. Oh, hey, sweet. I didn't know Sweetie was behind me until she snored. Savannah police have placed 6 employees on administrative leave Friday after an internal audit found misuse of the department's flock camera system. The employees include 4 officers and 2 civilians. SPD said they are accused of running searches unrelated to law enforcement, including searches on personal acquaintances and family members. One officer is also accused of giving an outside agency unauthorized access to the system. By the way, if you read later in the article, they don't identify who the outside agency is because, again, this is all still going on. Savannah Mayor Van Johnson, Police Chief Lenny Gunther, and City Manager Jay Melder gathered Monday to address the findings and reaffirm their support for the camera program. To be honest, I'm disappointed. I'm totally pissed off about it, Johnson said. Johnson pointed to last week's Fellwood Park shooting as an example of the technology's value, saying flock cameras helped officers apprehend suspects in the case. Without that, you have 17, 18, 19-year-olds with guns out here on these streets, Johnson said. The difference is you have 5 individuals in custody. But again, what I don't get is there seems to be an initial analysis that says there was an issue. And these people were placed on administrative leave, which says to me that they've not been punished for something yet. So I don't understand why they're speaking out and saying they're betrayed and all this other stuff, because it just doesn't make sense. It just does not make sense that they would do that for an investigation that doesn't seem to be closed yet. Leah, good to have you here. Unsecured loads are a huge safety issue and litter generator. And if anybody knows, it's Leah. She has seen it. In fact, I know she's seen it with unsecured loads, if nothing else, because I have sent her pictures. Because I've been so ticked off at somebody, you behind somebody with just letting stuff fly out of their truck, and you're just like, and you're so mad, you're like, what do I do? And the only thing you do is you know somebody who will commiserate with you, which is Leah, and you take a picture of it, you text her, look at these people. For crying out loud. It's a problem. Definite problem. All right. Let's not forget Brantley County Wildfire Swing for Hope Golf Tournament. This is going to be to raise money to help people in Brantley rebuild after the fire. It's September 19th. City Club at Lost Plantation, 1 Clubhouse Drive in Rincon or Rincon, depending on whether or not you're still working for iHeartMedia. So, that having been said, just again, reach out. You can be part of this. $500 a team, $125 a person. Golf captains or golf cart. I almost didn't read that right because I had a smudge on my glasses. Golf cart, range balls, and lunch, all included. And again, the money goes to help people in Brantley rebuild as they should. Unsecured loads are inconsiderate and lethal, very much so. All right. On that note, I've done the things I need to do. I got to get out of here so that I can get to the other gig on time. The plan when we get back to radio is to do the show from 6 until 9. So we'll have a lot of time to sit and chat. We'll have a lot of time to take phone calls. It will be a good thing, but I'm not clear yet. When I'm cleared, Katie, bar the door, because it's going to be a fun time. That's what I'll say. All right. I'm going to get out of here for the day. I will see you tomorrow morning, 7 o'clock. Stick with us. Don't forget tonight. Oh yeah, let's do a few things. Let's take care of some business really quickly. Sorry, before I get out of here. Don't forget to like and subscribe on Facebook or on YouTube. I'm sorry. We need it. Everybody we can get. We're up to 1,119 subscribers. So we're almost at 1,120. We need that. Like, subscribe, ring the bell so it'll tell you when we go on live. And yuck. Just yuck. And don't forget Max tonight on New Jessup Highway. And I say it that way because Apple Maps doesn't like 341 for whatever reason. You say Max on 341, it's gotten confused before when I've tried to put it out there. But if you say Max on New Jessup Highway, and you have to say that too, because the first Max it tries to give you is the one that's only open for lunch over on Cypress Mill Road. So Max on New Jessup Highway, 7 o'clock tonight. We'll get started. Prizes, fun, good food, great service. All there. We had 17 teams last week. It was insane, the number of teams we had last week. So we're going to do it right again tonight at 7 o'clock at Max. All right. I've done my bit now. Got to get out of here for the day. You guys have a great time. Be good, stay cool, and I'll catch you tomorrow morning at 7. See you then.